Welcome to Make and Decorate, a podcast for makers who love to sew, quilt, and decorate. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 39 of the Make and Decorate podcast. And for everyone in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. This episode airs on Thanksgiving holiday for us. So hopefully you guys have big plans for sewing and quilting this weekend, in addition to all of the Black Friday frenzy. So around here, the weather has returned to more normal November weather. We've kind of been in like the low 40s, and today is actually going to hit about 50 degrees, which is crazy. It's so funny because when you have been in, temps of like 20 and wind chills of 3, 40 degrees feels like, a heat wave. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's so warm outside. And then I just stop and like, do we hear ourselves? It's like, 38 degrees and we're thinking it's so warm, but it is. I mean, after you've been conditioned to some cold polar vortex weather. But don't worry, it looks like we're going to be back to freezing temps again next week when we are in December. So how's your holiday preps and decorating going? I have been decorating early this year. This is like the first year ever. I've talked about it in the last episode, but I kind of like it because the other reason why I think I did it is that Thanksgiving is late this year. It's a whole week later. And, with all of the retailers saying there's only 22 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they instill a sort of a panic in your mind. So that's another reason why I think I've kind of gotten a head start on the holiday season. So I've changed the main look on my one Christmas tree, and I just got it up yesterday and almost all decorated. I still have to put the ribbons on there and a few little last touches, but it is beautiful. It is one of the most elegant decorated trees that I have made. Oh my gosh. Did you guys just hear that in the background? My husband yelling by from downstairs while I'm recording. Oh my gosh. I am leaving it in because it made me laugh so hard. All right, where was I? Oh, decorating the tree. Okay, so yeah, it's not even done yet, and it's so pretty. I really love the new color scheme, and I replaced my 20-year-old tree skirt with a new one. It's a faux white fur tree skirt, and it is so pretty. It resembles snow under the tree. I like it so much. I was debating on actually making one, and I was looking up, some of that faux fur fabric, but I'm telling you, there's no time. And this tree skirt I got from Amazon because I'm an Amazon Prime member, and I literally got it the next day. And it was great because I had no patience to wait because I wanted to decorate this tree. And it is. I'll put a link in the show notes to that tree skirt because there are a lot of different qualities of this out there. And, of course, the Balsam Hill one is going, close to like $90+. And this one on Amazon is $30. There's some lesser expensive ones, but I could see that the quality dipped down. So I was really happy when I received this skirt, and I think it'll get a lot of use. There have been so many dollar store Christmas decorating videos popping up in my YouTube recommendations, so I started to watch some of them, and there's always a dollar store decorating video out there at all times of the year, but this one there just seems to be like an inundation of them. So I've been watching them. I've been just like, all right, let me see this one, that one, and a few of them are really, really good. So like this one person made pillows from placemats from the dollar store, and the placemats were not that bad. They kind of resembled like a needlepoint Christmas design. And this person didn't know how to sew, so she just hot glued it together and then, put some stuffing in there and then hot glued it closed. But for us that know how to sew, we could easily just stitch those together and stuff it and then hand sew it closed. So easy. And that was a good idea, I thought. And then another person made an ornament wreath, and they do sell those type of wreaths in all of the, front gate magazines, Hortel and all that stuff. And they're expensive because there's this wreath that just has like tons of those round ball ornaments in, usually they're like one color. And someone made that, and because she made it where the ornaments were really like full. And the other trick to that, I think, too, is that she varied the sizes of the ornaments, so it really made an interesting look and really looked like a lot more than what she actually spent on it. So that was interesting. And another one I saw, this is from a channel that I watch a lot. It's called the White Cottage Company, and this person makes tons of beautiful things all the time. And she made this peppermint candy garland. She got those Starlight mints. Those are the round peppermint candy that has a red and white swirl around it, from the dollar store. And she had just a simple roll of twine and hot glued those mints every 3 inches from each other, and wrapped it around her little tree. And it wasn't her main tree, it was a tree out in what she calls her shed, but it's not a shed. It is like a beautiful little room that has windows and looks out onto her yard, and it's really beautiful. So I'll put a link to that channel on my show notes. The other ones I didn't even think to catch the channels that they were from. But really, if you just type in the search bar, dollar store, holiday decorating, you will be inundated with these videos. So it's fun. It's both inspiring and entertaining. All right, so Thanksgiving weekend aside from Black Friday online activity, I plan to sew and quilt. I haven't really been able to work on anything in the last couple weeks. The only thing I've done in the last week or so was to finish up the quilt restoration project that I've had, the silk quilt. It turned out really well. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and the client really loves it too. And that really means everything when the person that's you're doing this for loves it as much, if not more, than you do. So I'm glad to have that completed off the table, and also really glad that it turned out really well. If you're looking for something to watch while you sew or decorate or whatever, I actually had these on while I was decorating, and I don't think it was maybe the best thing because every episode seemed to be kind of like a tearjerker, like I was crying, but it was in a way where then every episode ended on a positive note, a feel-good type of show, and it is on Netflix, and it's called Heartstrings, presented by Dolly Parton. I know. All of a sudden, Dolly Parton seems to be everywhere. Everywhere. She was on Jimmy Fallon's show and, this podcast I'm listening to, and now this Netflix special. So there's several episodes, and each episode is a story behind her songs. Like, for instance, the first episode is called Jolene, and there's just a story about the song. And Two Doors Down, that was kind of like a funny one. But yeah, so that seems to be a really good Netflix watch. And if you have jumped onto the Disney Plus bandwagon, which my husband did, it was so crazy that he wanted to get the Disney Channel, but it was only because of the Star Wars series that's out called Mandalorian. And I really didn't have any interest at first, so I didn't really pay attention to the first episode we were watching. In fact, I didn't even finish it. And then my husband tells me, oh, at the very end of that episode, there was a baby Yoda. And I was like, what? A baby Yoda? I have to see this. So I rewatched the first episode and got into it. And now I'm watching it every week because it drops new episodes every week. They're not all out there for you to binge watch. And I'm telling you, this baby Yoda makes the show, because otherwise I think it's kind of like boring for me. But I'm sure, people who are really into the Star Wars would not appreciate hearing that. But hey, for me, I do think that the baby Yoda really makes it super interesting, and it's so cute, and it's funny because the baby Yoda is 50 years old, but it's still a baby. It's a cute show. All right. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up this segment 1 here, and so that we can get on to my conversation with Tracie Claiborne. Just before I do, I want to remind you to visit my Patreon page. There is a bonus episode every month when you subscribe, and you just choose the level that you are comfortable with. And on my show notes page, which is my website at stephaniesochadesign.com, you'll find the show notes. And hit the subscribe button on the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you're on iTunes, rating and review would be great. So here we go with the rest of my conversation with Tracie Claiborne. We start with hand lettering, and then it's all about interior decorating. Okay, so we're going to move on to lettering, because that's something that you do and very well. Your lettering is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And so, and you do a lot with it. I mean, you teach it, and so go ahead. How did you learn this?
It is one of those things that I kind of happened onto. And I've always been interested in handwriting. As I said earlier, I won an award for penmanship in elementary school. Oh. And I've just always loved different styles of handwriting. So one night I was sitting at my desk, and I've always had messy, though everyday handwriting has always been messy. But I took a marker and I wrote warm winter wishes. And I showed my daughter, who was, probably 12 at the time. I said, look, Caroline, look what I just wrote. Doesn't that look fancy? She said, you didn't write that. I said, I did. I can play around with different handwriting that I haven't done it recently. And so I guess that was around the time that a lot of people were getting into modern calligraphy and brush lettering. And so I got some brush markers and started experimenting, but I could not figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And brush lettering is a series of thicks and thins, and it's really training your hand when to lift the pen up and push down on it. And I tried every brush marker that I thought people were using, and I couldn't conquer it. Hold on one second. And so a friend of mine came to town that I really love her lettering, and she, being in person with me, she had already figured it out. I said, I want to watch you do this. And she brought her favorite pens. And so one of them was a Bimoji, Bimoji, medium tip. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby for about $4.99. And it is a brush marker, but it's a firmer nib than I had ever used. I've been using like a Tombow dual brush marker, and the nib is just soft and smushy. And I mean, really, unless you're running a huge letter, it's just not, it doesn't work for me. Anyway, so I'm using this Bimoji, and she said, now don't be afraid to push, and you think you're going to mess up the marker, but you're not. Well, it just clicked in my head, and I was able to do it. Now, actually, let me go back a minute. I had already been doing a type of lettering at that point, too, where I was doing faux calligraphy, where you just, like I had tried for so long. Maybe I had been trying for a year to do brush lettering, but I even had a class called Easy Hand Lettering because I figured it out. I'm like, I want to show other people how to do this. And so you really I was writing the letters, and then I was filling them in with a thicker line. So there's really two styles of lettering. Faux calligraphy, you write your letters, and then you thicken up the letters. And then brush lettering, you use the pushing and pulling on the marker to make the thicks and thins. The result is almost identical. You can't really tell sometimes when you look at lettering.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Because way was used,
yeah. Because I, as a kid, I had this fascination with calligraphy, and I, asked for a calligraphy set with all the little nibs and stuff for Christmas, and I got it and would practice it and stuff. But it's hard.
Yes, yeah. I remember I did some kind of program in our high school. I did the old school kind of calligraphy where it's straight lines and they connect, and you're using a slanted nib. That's not the kind I do now, but I've always loved that too. I kind of forget about that though when I'm thinking of my lettering now, because it's such a different thing. But I think maybe there's something inside of me for years that just wanted to do calligraphy, and then I couldn't figure out how. So anyway, when it's like when something clicks in your head, and you finally get it after years, I became just obsessed with it. That's all I did. I would sit at my desk for 6 hours a day, 4 to 6 hours a day, practicing. And I kept up with it. It took me about 200 hours of practice to completely master brush lettering.
Wow. That's amazing.
I hate to even say that because that doesn't mean it will for everybody, but I'm a perfectionist.
No. Yeah.
And so once I mastered it, the best thing that ever happened was I got an iPad with an app called Procreate and an Apple Pencil. And it mimics, the Apple Pencil can mimic the look of a brush pen. You can get the thicks and thins. Well, now that I'm using an iPad to do lettering all the time, it's very difficult for me to now use a brush pen unless I sit for about 20 minutes and practice. Wow. It's like your hand can either do one or the other. And now I've started doing pointed pen, which is a dip pen with a metal calligraphy nib. And again, it messes up my iPad lettering. It's like your wrist, you have to hold it a certain way to do that. So I really want to get into that more too. It's a very elegant, like a calligrapher's look, like they signed the Declaration of Independence, not signed, but wrote out the Declaration of Independence, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with all the little flourishes and stuff.
Exactly.
I think that is a beautiful art form. And I was actually kind of excited when I started to see this brush lettering kind of come up and, get popular, because I always loved that as a kid of like calligraphy. Brush lettering didn't exist, but I mean, like you said, it's a form of it. And it's just
actually, the way brush lettering that people do now has existed for hundreds of years. It's just, it seems to, for some reason, become a trend in the last 10 years. Yeah. And you know how now you go to Hobby Lobby and or anywhere, Kirkland's, every sign has a modern calligraphy look to it. I do wonder if that's going to fizzle out. I know that it will. There's at some point, I think that everything being lettered will be kind of passe in a home. So I'm a traditionalist when it comes to decor, so I do worry about too much of that kind of look. But I say just enjoy it while we can, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my daughter actually asked me yesterday. She said, well, she didn't ask me. She was telling me that she was telling one of her friends about my hand lettering. And the friend said, well, what does she have online that I can buy? And so my daughter said, well, not anything right now. And I want to let everyone know that I am working toward that. And I'm also going to incorporate my hand lettering into our Scrap Gals printables. But I have purchased a website called handletteringlessons.com.
Okay.
And I actually have that on YouTube and Instagram. And that is my 2020 goal, is to get that going. I've developed a new hand lettering class. And so I want to have a store full of printables, and with my lettering, of course, and lots of videos and worksheets. I already have the worksheets, but building a website is something that I procrastinate because it's a daunting task. But hand lettering, I love it, adore it, and probably just as much as scrapbooking. I'll never stop being a memory keeper and scrapbooker, and now I'll never stop doing hand lettering, hopefully.
Oh, good. Very good. And I'm glad that you are good. I know you've already done classes because you have that on your website, right? Like
Well, I had
online?
one class, but it was when I had first learned about minor calligraphy, and I took it down because it's not representative of how I do lettering now. And I really, at the point that I created it, I really shouldn't have. I wasn't there yet, but I was so excited about sharing it. And it did help people, and some people learned, and it was fun. But, when you know more and you can do better, than you do. And so I have recently developed a class I taught for the first time recently, about a month ago, in person. And I've broken down the learning process of hand lettering in a way that I've never seen anybody else do before. And I'm so excited about it. Someone told me they've taken multiple hand lettering classes, and it's the best one she's ever taken. And it finally clicked in her head how to do it. So I'm just super excited to share it with the world. And I'm actually going to offer the instruction of a lot of it for free on that website. And then you can just purchase the worksheets. So I want to share this with the world. My goal is to share it more than, to turn it into an income source. I really just want to help other people that want to do hand lettering and haven't been able to do it the same way as me. I struggled with it for so long. So, next year, check back with me in a year. Hopefully I'll have that
Oh,
going.
yeah. That's great. Oh, cool. I like that. Doesn't that make you feel so good though, when one of your students in a class tells you that?
Yes, that's a great compliment.
Yeah,
and I
so
appreciate
great.
when people take time to voice that. Sometimes people think these things, but they don't say them. So
Yeah.
anytime someone gives us positive feedback about the show or our printables or any of my classes, it really is like, okay, I did it. That was great.
Yeah.
It really means so much to people. So
It does.
I try to do that for other people as well.
Oh, good. And it comes back to you too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you said you want to share, the instructions and have your printables. And I just think that, when people do that, it just all comes back to them tenfold, and it's great.
Well, I've been super blessed in life to be able to build a life doing what I love. And I always say we live in the house of creativity, which I didn't come up with that. That's from my favorite author, Susan Branch, one of my favorite artists and authors. She says it about her home. But my husband is a professional musician, and we are blessed to be able to do what we love and be creative with our life. And so I know there are people who go to a job, that they don't particularly love, or it doesn't bring them as much joy maybe as it could. And so I do think what I do in life, I want it to revolve around just bringing joy and happiness to people, kind of giving back for the community of crafters that I'm in.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, just from listening to your podcasts, and that's why I told you at the beginning, I was just like your voice, and it's just, I want to listen to it. And both of you guys just are very joyous and positive. So, and there's not, we're in a world sometimes where it's kind of like not that way. So,
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I try to focus on the good all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, anything else? I think we covered lettering, though. I mean, you've got it. You kind of like went through it really well. And
well, I would say if anyone wants to learn lettering now, and I don't have a class available online now, there are so many great resources on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You really can just get on YouTube, and I will still sit and watch. I was watching one the other day about flourishing. There's one I really love, Becca, the Happy Ever After Crafter. Let's see, I think that's her name. And no, Happy Ever Crafter. That's what it is. Instead of Happy Ever After, it's Happy Ever Crafter. Yeah. I follow a lot of people on Instagram that do lettering. And so really the beauty of the internet in 2019 is if you set your mind to learn something, whether it be scrapbooking, quilting, lettering, anything, you can get on YouTube and learn it. Don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely. I do it all the time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
YouTube is like one of my just like to go places. Even for
Yeah.
like, I'm digressing here, but even like for the Instant Pot cooking, I love
Oh,
it.
yes.
I've got, so like my husband got the Instant Pot right 6 months before it became like this boom. And I
really?
didn't do anything with it because I was so afraid of it. I was thinking of that old fashioned, like, it's
Yes,
going
I
to
would be too.
explode.
I know. I actually know. I've been around when that happened to somebody before, the pressure cooker. Yeah, it does scare you. But so you're not scared of it now?
No, I use my pressure cooker like at least 2 times a week, sometimes 3. Yeah. It's I love it so much. So yeah, I'm glad. YouTube, hello. There's a YouTube channel called Pressure Luck. And it's called Pressure and Luck. It's all one word.
Oh, I get it.
This guy is he's funny. And so I learned a lot of recipes from him. Yep. All right. So let's move on to decorating. Yay!
Yay!
So decorating, I love the way you decorate your home, and you decorate kind of like how I do and how I grew up too. Of like my mom loved to decorate for the seasons and for, like the different holidays, I guess, that come up, even like Valentine's Day and stuff like that, the minor ones. So I have a like deep love for that as well. And so what is your favorite season to decorate for?
Well, I would have to say Christmas. I go all out for Christmas. And when you asked me to be on your show, I texted my husband. I said, someone wants to talk to me about my decorating. This is my dream come true in life. I love decorating. And right now I'm working on my porch for Christmas. And I told my mom all that I was going to do for my screening porch. She said, now, why are you doing all this? I said, I want to get my house in a magazine. That's one of my goals in life.
Oh, my God.
Is to get something of my Christmas decorations in a flea market style or some kind of, I don't think country living. I mean, that's like aiming too high, but something, that I could get just even one picture. Aww. It would be my dream come true. So this is so fun to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, you could do it, though. You certainly could, because I've seen your pictures, and I love it. And, coming from like, a design background myself, I can see how you have that balance of scale and height and, I mean, not overdone. Sometimes it's overdone, but that's fine.
Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas.
I think Christmas is a little overdone.
Yeah.
But I'm okay
But who
with
cares?
That.
Yeah. It's you. It's your home, and it makes you happy. Right. And that's what I always like to tell people is just, people sometimes are so worried about the design rules. And
right.
And I'm just like, do what makes you happy in your home. And, forget about like the gray is the only color you can use for your house, because that's not true.
Oh, well, can I tell you about my plan for my porch for this Christmas? I'm not sure if I can pull it off, but I think I can. So I've been wanting to do this, and I've just hooked up with my cousin he installed a new floor in my den. He does floors. Well, I didn't know that he can do anything. He's like a handyman. He's just brought this to my attention. He's kind of like my brother, He's my first cousin. And so I said, oh, do I have jobs for you? So about a year and a half, let's see. It was I think it was last summer, I bought this huge vintage sign. It is about 7 feet wide by 4 feet tall, maybe 5 feet tall. It's almost as tall as me. No, 4 feet. And it says Rolls Market, and it was a legitimate sign for just, a roadside country market in New Jersey.
Okay.
Back, 100 years ago, until probably the 50s, and they closed, and they saw this sign. So it's metal, and it's all chippy paint. It's just fabulous. And so I have had that sign on my porch for 1 year, waiting to think of how I can hang it, because we have a beadboard ceiling on our screening porch that's the vinyl of the house, and then the ceiling is vinyl siding too. And so we are reluctant to put holes in it, but I want to. And also, my husband is not good at that kind of stuff. He's a man of music, not a handyman.
Right.
And so I just wanted to wait until I had somebody that I knew I could trust to put a hole in my vinyl ceiling. And so I'm going to hang that from some thin chains, and then I have a bench that goes in front of it. So my plan is Ace Hardware has a blow mold Santa that's about 4 feet tall for $50. I've already stopped by there and they hadn't gotten them in yet. But I'm going to get a blow mold Santa. It's the same mold from the 60s. Like, it's legit, looks vintage. And I think $50 is a pretty good price. And so then my daughter has a vintage Red Ryder sleigh. And then we have a Red Ryder wagon. So I'm going to put all that together and get a live Christmas tree. And I'm really committing to this now that I'm saying it in a show.
Yes, I expect photos.
I have 2 green swings. Everything's white out there. We have 2 green swings that have been there for over 20 years. So they faded to a great green, and they face each other on the porch. So I want to have the porch floor painted by my cousin to be that same green, kind of like a John Deere green, you know.
Oh, yeah.
No, just a, I don't know, it's a vintage looking green. Sure. Anyway, so I want to put all this together and make we also have twinkle lights I want to hang. So just put all that together, and that's going to be like my new Christmas project this year.
Oh, man, that's so cool. You know, I envy like those southern homes with the wraparound porches and the screen porch. I mean, to have that space, what I could do. I live in the city. I mean, we have very little square footage. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So
we built our house about 23 years ago. We purposefully chose a plan that looked like an old house. And the only drawback to it is it has no storage. The closets are tiny. The rooms upstairs are so tiny. You think you're living in a 900 square foot house. And you can barely turn around in the bedrooms. It is tiny upstairs.
That's our rooms here.
But I still love it because it seems, I don't like, a lot of times I love Chip and Joanna Gaines, but they kill me taking these old houses and making them all one big room. And I need to get away from people in my family. And so we have swinging doors downstairs that go into every room. I did that on purpose because I want to go by myself somewhere and shut the door.
Yeah. Yeah,
I cannot imagine walking into my house and it being all one big room, but I guarantee if somebody ever bought this house, that's what they would do.
Well, those open floor plans are starting to get passe because people.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because I've even heard someone else talking about it recently, and it was a podcast I was listening to. She's going through her renovation of this house, and so she was in this quandary of knocking down the wall and making it open, but then she's like, no, I don't. I want a separate room, dining room or whatever.
Right, yeah. Right.
So
well, and I've said from the beginning of watching Fixer Upper, I've said to my daughter, they're going to regret that. I mean, the thing is, there are some walls that can be knocked down, but they end up making the entire house one room. You walk in, you can see to the back of the house. So
yeah.
So I am thankful for little vignettes and little cozy rooms that I can decorate. It just gives you more, like you said, it gives you more spaces to fill with something pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even back in the old days and even those old movies, I love where they have just the sitting parlor.
Yes.
and that's a room that could really be decorated for the holiday, like a big Christmas tree. You know what I mean? It's just so cool. And just to have somewhere to go if you wanted to read a book in a quiet little room.
We have a formal living room, and that's exactly what we use it for. We do not have a television in there, and that's our reading room. And we when we have company, that's where we go. That's where we have our fancy formal Christmas tree, and that's where we have Christmas morning. And so I grew up in a home. Well, some of them had a formal living room, but in the olden days, when I was young, you would walk into let's say a ranch style house, and it had a long living room, and the dining room was at the end. And then you would keep going, and you would go into a different room with the kitchen, and then there'd be a little den off the side, and that's probably where you stayed most of the time. But I love a house with its own dining room and own living room, so I'm thankful I have that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that, and I mean, I do enjoy, if you have a house where, there's just a kitchen with a great family room attached to it, but it's not the entire house.
Right.
So I kind of like that because my sister-in-law has kind of like that, where it's just the kitchen and this family room, and that way, you're not just stuck in a kitchen while everybody else is like having fun in the other room.
My house actually was like that. My kitchen was open to what I call the den, and I changed it. I put a wall there, and my contractor tried to talk me out of it. And he tried to talk me out of my windows. My whole house is one big window, and he said, no, you're not going to have any room for furniture on the walls. I said, I chose this plan because of all the windows. And he said, no, let's take some of these windows out. I'm like, no. So you have to stand your ground. I'm glad I did, because I love it just the way it is.
See, and you
also, it had columns in the living room. I cannot imagine my house now having columns. I put French doors instead.
I love French doors. Oh,
I do too.
That was a good
I've never been a fan of columns, and I know some people. That was a trend for a while in the 90s when I built my house.
Yeah.
So
it definitely was. I mean, I know they're decorative or whatever, but that's just it. I mean, to me, they take up valuable space.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't understand the point.
Right. I think now a lot of people that have columns in their house, they're building, squaring them in around it, and probably putting some dado or whatever, that's what I call
molding.
Right, molding, that's the word I was looking for. Crown molding, not crown molding, some woodwork around it.
Sure. Yeah So it's just that it's what you like, and you stick with it, and I love that, because it's good to know what you like and what you don't like. Just for me, being a decorator designer and working with people, that sometimes they act like they don't know what they like, and they just want to see so many options. And but really what it is that they're worried about what other people will think. So they're more interested in doing like the, popular right thing than, you know what, I like it this way, then do it that way. So, because then they hem and haw, and it's just like, why can't you make a decision?
Yeah. I'm always really surprised by people who would let somebody else decorate their house. And I mentioned like Joanna Gaines. I love her decorating, but I could never let, this is probably not the right thing to say to an interior designer.
I'm not offended.
I would love to be an interior designer, but I personally could never let somebody else, just carte blanche decorate my house. Now, with you, you're working with the client, like you said, to make choices. That's completely different, because a lot of people need someone to steer them in the right direction. And you probably have, I know you do, have resources that they don't know about, like custom fabrics and slip covers and things like that.
Yeah.
But just to have someone like Joanna Gaines completely redo your house and you walk in and live there, can you imagine?
No. I would never be able to do that. Not at all. Yeah. And I know it's even like astounding to me if people let designers and architects and even contractors do this with people.
Right, I know.
And they just talk them into like, oh yeah, it's over here, you put it here. And it's really, for contractors, it's just what's easiest for them. It's not what looks good.
Right.
or what's convenient or whatever. But yeah, it is. But some people just have no interest in it. That's why they just let it. They just want it to look nice and not be bothered with it. And it's like a chore for them. And it's like just pulling teeth, like going to the dentist, which is kind of funny to me, because I'm just like,
I know,
how could that be so?
Well, I know. I guess because of my background with my parents building so many houses, it was something I was familiar with the process. So we subcontracted on our house, and we just got what's called a building loan. And so we picked out the plan, and then I asked my uncle, who was a realtor in the town near me, did he know any independent contractors? And we got our house built for a hilariously cheap price. It's because it was this guy's third house that he had built. And so, I trusted my uncle, and he had walked through his homes that he had built and knew that they were quality. And we lucked out because everything has been great. We did have a few issues with, like, he hired some people that weren't reputable to paint and stuff. And so it's just some little minor things. But overall, we have a good quality, solid house. He built it up very tall. Our house is taller than any other house in the neighborhood because, he wanted the foundation to be really high for any water that we had come in the yard. And so, but we had a construction loan. So he told me everything that we needed for the house. And I went to Home Depot and Lowe's and bought everything myself. I picked out every light fixture, every doorknob, every light, everything. I just, filled the buggy up.
Yeah.
What's so funny is my husband was in college at the time, and he briefly had a career as a electronic engineer because he was touring on the road with artists, and he was gone all the time. And so he just wanted to do something in town more. But anyway, he doesn't really do that anymore. But he was in college at the time. I know people are thinking that my listeners, if they're listening to this, they're like, Mike went to college for something else besides music. But anyway, he didn't care. So I would say, what color? He didn't care. And so I stopped asking him about the third time.
Yeah.
And so I was able, and I'm very giddy about this, I was able to just make all my own choices in this whole house.
Oh, that is
now,
so cool.
Some of them, maybe I would do it differently now. This is before I knew I was ever going to have a child. At that time in my life, I was determined to just be childless on purpose. I was never interested in having a child. So now, looking back, I don't know. I may have made a few different decisions, knowing now, it's different living with a kid.
Yeah.
I built a very formal house, basically.
Oh, okay.
And then, and decorated it as such. I started out with my house being English country style. And I had these books, English country. And I had the chintz and the curtains and the sofa all matched. And then the same curtains in the dining room, that kind of thing. And now I really am getting ready to redo that section of my house to be more neutral. I'm really into this everything is neutral look. What do you think about that? Like tan, not gray. I do not like gray.
Yeah,
trendy.
I think it's nice because I like to have a neutral background as well. That you can, and this is good for you because you like to decorate for seasons, and it's perfect for that because then you can throw your color and your patterns in with the pillows and whatever accessories that you want to bring in there, and it's not going to clash. Just like I would just kind of want to make it more interesting. When you do neutrals, it can look really flat, but if you put like textures in there,
absolutely, yes,
give some depth, and do different shades and stuff like that, it would really make it very, very nice. So
I've always had in the main part of my house, I've always had yellow on the walls, and I never thought I would change it because it was a very colonial color, and this is a colonial house. But I painted my den, I repainted it the same color, tan, and it's more like a hot chocolate or a coffee with a lot of cream. It's not like a builder tan, Yeah, exactly. Like there was a time in the 90s when all the builders were using this one color tan. It's not that. It's a lighter,
they were
prettier color.
Lennox tan. I know.
Exactly. And then I have a tan linen sofa. I've just bought a new sofa, but it's the same color as the other one. And I just found it is so fun, like you said, to decorate seasonally and just add touches of color. And I'm really into baskets. I have baskets everywhere. Like I want bamboo shades for part of the house. So I just want to neutral out my entire house. The big pieces, the upholstered furniture and everything be neutral so that I can bring in color when I want to and change it up a lot.
But when you neutralize a whole house, sometimes it's, I don't know, I think it's nice to, do you have like a powder room bathroom or?
That is so interesting that you said that. I do, and I'm thinking about painting it a shocking blue.
Yes,
that's so interesting that you said, because I have a collection of blue and white porcelain, and so I have blue and white plates on the wall. I have a china cabinet full of blue and white pottery, and I have blue and white on the mantle in the living room, and that's it. I want to have that same blue from like a transferware blue, blue willow, that kind of blue. I want to have that in the bathroom. Exactly.
Definitely, because I think that breaks up the monotony, and those little rooms are perfect for that. I mean, you can just really get so like dramatic and colorful, and I mean, put anything in there that normally in a bigger room would be overwhelming, and too busy or too dark or whatever. So that's awesome. Yeah, you should definitely do that blue.
I might even do a blue and white wallpaper in there. That's a big floral. That's kind of coming back in style.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, good. I hope, document and take pictures.
Oh, don't worry.
This is awesome. Yeah, I love, the decorating part of it. And, there's different types of design and decorating. And like right now I'm kind of half and half because I'm half into the sewing quilting world, and the other half is like I freelance for like high-end interior design, residential, and that's like completely different. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm more, that's why I'm shifting because I want to get back to my own roots of like, you're making your house your own, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not like spending inordinate. I mean, I can't anyway. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a misnomer that decorators make a lot of money because they don't. Only if you're Nate Berkus or.
Right. Sarah Richardson.
Yeah. Oh, she's my favorite.
Oh, mine too.
Sarah
Yep.
Richardson is my
She's
favorite.
fabulous.
Yeah. I remember when she was back in the day, like late 90s on HGTV, in her overalls. Yeah. She came from that. She would like make her own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now she's like and she is in all the designer showrooms and stuff with all her fabrics and everything.
Yeah,
I do
know.
like her style. I love her style.
She just has such a great eye.
Yes, she really does. So that's funny you brought her up. but I like because in Shishi design they don't appreciate as much of telling your story and the person's home like really being theirs, and like handmade things are a big part of my life, and
right,
and it's kind of like sometimes looked down upon from that industry. So I'm like, you know what? Then you do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing over here.
But I think I never wanted to look like to look like whatever the current trend of the moment is. I think that's the current trend of the moment. And I mean, of course, I got a Hobby Lobby and get things as well. Mm-hmm. But I always have wanted my house to look, I'm a little bit of a rebel overall in life. So if that's what everybody's doing, I want to do a little something else. And I want my house to look like it's collected over, and I have lived here almost 25 years. Mm-hmm. And I've been married, with my husband almost 30. And so I want it to look like, I got a quilt 15 years ago and put it there. And then I got another, quilt 5 years ago, and then I got this basket 20 years ago, and I want it to look like a collected, layered look. And I'm such a minimalist and clutter-free person that's been a challenge for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on that with my new plan for my house. I want it to be more textural, more layered, mm-hmm. more collected, like you're talking about, really be a statement about the things I love and have more of my personality in it.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I'm the same way, and I feel like it's just much more cozy and everything. And I know what you're mm-hmm. talking about with that everything white thing, and
right. Which and they're beautiful homes.
Yeah, they are very pretty.
Yeah, but I do think that the current trend is mm-hmm. to it's just like it's a certain look. I can't put it's a lot of lettered things too, which I do love. But I think people come to my house and they're surprised because I don't really have that much hand lettering or things with hand lettering in my house, but it's because I'm afraid that it's going to be a trend that passes, and anything I buy for my house is an investment, mm-hmm. and especially upholstered pieces, of course. Yeah. But I asked myself, would this have fit into a home 100 years ago? That's what I asked myself. Oh. And if it does, then it's for me. Mm-hmm. And, just even like I have an old-timey black and white checkered linoleum in my kitchen, a vinyl, not linoleum, it's vinyl. Mm-hmm. And I know that's very out of date to some people. They've moved on to hardwood or tile or whatever, but I like that it's old timey.
Oh,
I get classic. More compliments. Yeah, I get more compliments classic. On that vinyl floor than anything in my whole house.
Yeah, no, that's very classic. I know what you mean, and there are certain things that I like that too, that withstand the test of time, and they're classic and not trendy. I'm like we should be sisters because we like the same thing.
I just want my home to be cozy, and somebody came and hung out with my daughter this week, and my daughter said she lives in a mansion practically, and and she said to my daughter, "Your house is so much," she said, "It's not like my house." She said, "It's cozy." She said, "It feels homey." She said, "It feels homey." I said, "That is the best compliment anybody could ever tell me."
Yeah.
She said, "Our rooms are really big." And I said, "Well, thank you. That's, my job is done."
That's good. Very good. Okay. So before I let you go, I wanted you to just give some tips for decorating for the seasons. Like just like recently you decorated a hutch with
Right.
your fall stuff. So
Yeah.
give the listeners something that they can do for the upcoming seasons.
Okay, well, if you haven't decorated for fall yet and you have a Target near you, I would suggest checking out their dollar spot. And I will say I've always decorated a little bit for fall, but mostly I've decorated for Halloween.
Yeah.
And I have, I like to collect holiday items. So I have a collection of vintage Valentines that I put out at Valentine's Day. I have a collection of paper mache Easter sculptures, figurines that are just a certain look to them, the kind of look vintage. I've collected those, and then I even put flags up at the 4th of July and in the summer, and that's one reason I want my house to be neutral, so I can put red and white pillows sometimes and pink pillows sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but for fall, I really didn't have that big of a fall decorating collection because I'd always just gone straight to Halloween decorating. So this year, everybody on Instagram that I follow was showing I follow this one person, Style the Bullseye, and she has all these items from Target's dollar spot. So they have like 30 items for $3 each that are just fabulous. You cannot believe you're getting them for $3 each. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to a lot of Targets to find them, but I got all the items that I wanted and just curated them all together to be on my hutch, and I put some on the mantle. I have 2 fireplaces in my house, but I really only decorate my den right now with seasonal. Mm-hmm. Other than Christmas. I put Christmas in the other part of the house because I said my front part of my house is yellow walls. And so, I mean, I guess that is a fall color, but the colors of my furniture in there don't go with fall. But my den is tan, so I can pretty much make it fall colored. And so, yeah, that would be the place I would look. Also, of course, Hobby Lobby has all of their fall decor 40% off. Mm-hmm. And, even Michael's probably does now.
That's what I was going to say. I love Michael's at this time of year.
Oh, Joanne does too. Joanne has a lot of things right now, 70% off.
Yeah.
But I will have to say, I went last weekend and they are very picked over at this point. So they've moved on to just having Halloween now.
I've learned that with Joann's is that they put the stuff out early and they sell out early because last year I did wait too long and I was like, what happened? So this year I actually got stuff a little early because I knew if I come back in 2 weeks, this is all going to be gone.
Yeah. See, I didn't really know that. I found that out this weekend. I'm about to take my fall stuff. This is a quandary. Maybe you can help me with this. I want to put my Halloween decorating up on my den mantle, and I've never had all of that fall stuff on the hutch, and they don't really match. The fall stuff is more, it has some blue in it, and burgundy and, just the leaf colors, and obviously the Halloween stuff is just black and orange. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and pull all that fall stuff down and try to probably go on another collecting splurge and get some cheap Halloween stuff for the hutch now. I don't think those two can live together in the same room. What do you think?
Well, they could if you pulled over a color from the one to the other. Like you said, blue. Or, let's see, black and orange, right? You said your Halloween is just black and orange?
See, I have my mantle display. It's perfected. Because I actually look at the picture. That's how I decorate. Every year when I decorate, if I've done something once that I love, I pull it up on Instagram and I screenshot it. And as I'm decorating, I look at the picture. I want to go back to what worked. Why reinvent the wheel? Yeah. So most people probably don't do that. They just start sticking stuff up there. But I really agonize over it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have, I think my fall decorating is going to go from September 1st through October 5th or so from now on. And then for the rest of October, I'll have Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And then I usually leave my Halloween up a week. And then, to be honest, about the second week of November, I'm going to be ready to decorate for Christmas.
Oh, wow. Second week.
Yeah, because it takes me a full week, maybe 10 days. It's that much.
Wow. But, come to think about it, though, I mean, it does take a while because even to just pull out a tree and assemble, if you have not a real tree, but if you have one, one, assembling it and just, it does take time. It takes time to get it the way you want it. And
I have about 15 huge tubs. Sorry, I have about 15 huge tubs of decorations that it takes 2 or 3 hours just to get them all down.
I love it. This is why I wanted to have you on. Because this is what you do.
Yeah. And let me tell you, this is funny. This year, my goal has been to buy 200 new Christmas ornaments. or no, 100 new Christmas. I thought that's excessive. No, 100 new Christmas ornaments, because I went from a 4-foot tree 2 years ago in my den to a 7-foot tree. And the first year it was just pitiful. Yeah. I mean, the 4-foot tree was so full of ornaments, like it's a miracle it didn't tip over. Mm-hmm. But then when I put them on the 7-foot tree, it was bad. And so now I'm looking for 100 more ornaments this year to go on that tree. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten 30, but I have a long way to go.
Oh, you'll do it.
But I'm even willing to buy one at the Dollar Tree if I like it. You know, I'm not I'm picky about Christmas ornaments, but it doesn't have to be expensive.
Right. Yeah. And it's so much fun.
Yes.
That's so cool. 7-foot tree. Yeah, that's a big change from a 4-foot tree.
Exactly. So I would say my one love in life is Christmas ornaments. I was thinking about that this morning. I was looking at a video. I look at pictures of my Christmas tree all year. It's a sickness, really. I wait for it. I'm so excited. I'm just so filled with joy that I'm going to get to put my Christmas stuff up and play Christmas carols. It's the highlight of my whole year. Oh, I don't see how there are some people who say I don't like Christmas. I know they probably have some kind of bad memories from when they were young, and I feel so sorry for them over that, because mine was. I mean, I have some bad memories too. My father actually died the week of Thanksgiving when he was 49 years old, the age that I am now. But I don't know. It has never affected my love of this season of holidays. I just. It's a season of beauty, don't you think so?
Yeah.
It's
it
a
really
season
is.
of peace and joy and love and beauty. And so really the fall on, September, or let's say the end of September on, it's just such a beautiful season.
Yeah, and most of the time people are generally nicer and a little happier.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of eggnog in them too.
That's true. But it is fun. Yeah, I just love that about you. You just really like, but that's because you love it. I mean, I like decorating for Christmas, and when you said you had like your mantle thing, like that's figured out, and that's what you do. I have the top of my our TV cabinet has a base, and then it has this hutch. So on the very top of that, I've been doing this for the last few years, and I'm like, this every year. It's my winter.
Yes.
It's my winter wonderland, and I have like this batting type of snow on the ground, and and these stores have sold and I've been collecting them, but these they're like winter animals, like they had polar bears and other stuff, but they like I don't know how to describe it, but they're like like actual like little furry polar bears, and like the owls and stuff like that.
Yes,
they have feathers on them, and
cute.
So I just kind of like build on that, and that's what I do every year in that spot. Like I love it so much because I illuminate it with lights. And it's just so pretty. I love looking at it.
Well, twinkle lights makes everything better. You know, that's the main thing I love about Christmas is the twinkle lights.
Yeah.
As far as decorating goes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we can just go on and on about this. I'm telling you. But I thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing so much with us about scrapbooking, lettering, and the decorating. It's been so much fun. So I hope to have you back on maybe next year when you get your lettering hand lettering lessons.
Handletteringlessons.com. Yes, okay, at some point there will be a lettering site there. Now there's nothing, so don't bother going there.
Okay, we won't put that up yet. But so definitely, happy holidays to you. And I know I follow you on Instagram, so I'm gonna keep looking and see everything that you're doing, your porch decorations and everything. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on. This has just been so much fun. And I'm like you, I could talk about decorating for hours.
Yes.
and all those topics. Those are my favorite topics. So thank you so much. This was a great fun for me.
Good. All right, well, that wraps up my 2-part conversation with Tracie. I really appreciate her coming onto the show. She had so many great things to share with us. So, and also wish everyone in the United States happy Thanksgiving weekend. And across the globe, I think Black Friday exists everywhere. So good luck with all of that. And next time, I have one of my favorite fabric designers on the podcast. So stay tuned for that. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this episode. Thanks for listening to the Make and Decorate podcast. The podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Stephanie Socha. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.